Right, so the next part we're going to get to is the meat, the bit we'll look forward to cooking. We'll start with chicken. So what we have picked here is chicken thigh on the bone. So it looks like this. Not the nicest looking bit of meat, but it's got the bone still in it. It's got the skin on, very important. So what the bone does, it actually keeps the moisture inside the meat while it cooks, and I think it's a bit more flavourful. So what I'm going to do is show you how to actually skewer this on. At the minute the chicken's plain straight out of the packet. You can buy packets of this chicken from supermarkets, so Tesco, Sainsbury's, that sort of thing, and you can buy them in 1 or 2 kilo packs. I tend to buy them in the sort of 2 kilo packs. The way I look at it is that a kilo of chicken on the bone will probably feed about 4 to 5 people. So each one of these thighs, you could probably estimate that between 1 or 2 per person. You know, 2 if you're greedy, a bit like me. What we're going to do is find your favourite seasoning. I've picked a dry rub. Now I'd always recommend that you choose some form of dry rub to cook meat in this way. Anything on a rotisserie definitely cooks better when dry because it crisps up more. As soon as you add a wet seasoning to this, it completely changes the texture. So I'm going to give it a bit of a rough seasoning. You don't need to go mad with this. So make sure your meat is seasoned on all sides before you do this, because you'll see it's quite important to how we're going to skewer the chicken onto the barbecue. So again, you can season midway through cooking if you feel like we need to. If you don't have a favourite seasoning, you could just use salt or pepper. And quite honestly, the most traditional way of doing this is just to salt the meat as it's cooking. So now I've done that, what I want to show you is actually how to make the skewers. The way that the charcoal is spread within the base of the barbecue, it tends to be that the meat on the very ends of the skewer cook the least because they're most subject to the elements and the cooler air outside. So I would always try, if possible, to pick the smallest of your chicken thighs that you've got with the bigger ones in the centre. So if you try and find a particularly small one like this, what I do, you can see the bone on the inside. There tends to always be a leftover piece of skin, and what I like to do is wrap the skin around so it almost forms like a pouch, and obviously the idea behind that is that it maintains the moisture in the meat as it's cooking. So what you want to do, make sure that your point of your skewer is sharp, go through the thigh, and you'll just about pass the bone on the inside of it. So they're in that sort of fashion. And obviously you want to keep repeating this until you've got all of your chicken on. So again, I'll show you that once more. With the bone going perpendicular to the spike, you'll want to wrap that small piece of skin around, and I like it neat, so I'll try and do the second one in exactly the same way. And you can just keep adding them until you've got the required amount. I'd say probably don't do more than 10 or 12 thighs per skewer. You want to make sure they all get cooked evenly. And the next meat we're going to come to is the pork. So if you saw one of my previous videos, I showed you how we cut the pork belly up and how we butchered that to get the perfect size skewers to go on one of these big Souvla skewers. I'll show you that shortly.
Come on, hey.
So there we go. Perfectly nice made up skewer. Not too many because we're only going to feed 3 to 4 people here. So as you can see, I've got the motor fitted. Now the motor moves all of the skewers on this top part of the barbecue. I'll take you around here. I'll put this one right into the centre. And as I said previously, this is on the highest setting, and I've got the skewer going one of the slowest speeds. The motor that I've got has got many different settings, and I've got it on one of the slowest at the moment. So we'll come back once we've got the pork. Now these are going round, an additional point to mention: toothpicks. Where are you? Toothpicks. These are your friend. So when meat is turning like this, you tend to get these little pieces of skin that hang a bit like that. Be brave and stick the toothpick in there. What that does, holds the skin in place. There you go, just like that. Okay, welcome back. So you can see we've got 2 skewers on here. We've got the chicken thighs, which are about 30 minutes in, and then we've got the pork belly cubed up, and as you might be able to see, the fatter pieces next to the more lean pieces. So again, the chicken thighs went on first because they got a bone in them. The pork belly takes almost as long as the chicken, so that went on shortly afterwards. If you notice, there's a skewer missing. The third skewer is going to be something called chef yiayia, which is, if you're Cypriot Greek, you'll know these as almost like a sausage wrapped in like a sheep's stomach. Honestly, they taste better than they sound. So I want to highlight the importance of the rotisserie here. So if you can make out, there are drips of juice coming off here, and the rotisserie helps to prevent that. So obviously the rotation ensures that moisture kind of continuously rebastes the meat. And obviously I've got the chicken and the pork on there. You can see we're missing a skewer. So what I tend to do is cook the meat that takes the longest, and when my next skewer goes on, I know that takes a lot less time, so I'll be putting that in shortly. I just want to show you how we're progressing. So we're currently about 30 minutes in. Chicken's started to crisp up nicely, and you can see some of that fat rendering out along with the juice from the actual meat itself. Pork belly's still got a fair bit of time to go, so I'll come back in a short while.